This is absolutely unbelievable. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. So this began as 500 people in a ballroom in Phoenix. And the hotel called us up and they said, please don't do it here. We're going to be swamped. It's going to destroy the building. It's been amazing. And outside, sadly, we have thousands of people that can't get in. So you know real estate. You know real estate. I want to thank everybody. You know, last night, and a lot of you saw it on television, it was actually carried live, we had an amazing event, and a very sad event, and yet very beautiful. Because the word is getting out that we have to stop illegal immigration. We have to. We have to. We have a situation that's absolutely out of control. We have incompetent politicians, not only the president. I mean, right here in your own state, you have John McCain. I just hate to see when people don't have common sense, don't have an understanding of what's going on, or perhaps don't want to know. Maybe it's campaign contributions, maybe it's special interests, maybe it's lobbyists. But for some reason, some people don't get it, and I don't think they'll be in office much longer. I really mean that. We are going to make this country so great again. We are going to work. We are going to work so hard. And I will say this. When we had our event last night, I saw hardened veteran reporters who were crying. You had to see this. People that I've known for a long time, that I don't even like. They're not good people. How you doing back there? And one in particular, tears are streaming down his face, and I'm saying, I don't believe what I'm saying. I didn't think he had a tear in him. And some of the people that spoke were absolutely amazing. One, their child was killed by an illegal immigrant, shouldn't have been here. And this really began for me. It's very interesting because when I started and when I announced, don't forget, everybody said, he's never going to run, right? Then they said very strongly, you know, these are real knowledgeable people. They don't know anything. Then they said, he'll never file his FVC paper. Well, I filed that 2 weeks ago. They said, oh, wow. Well, then they said, he'll never file his financials, because he's not as rich as people think. And they get filed during this week. And by the way, some of the other candidates will not be filing from what I hear, okay? And when they file, the number is actually much higher than anybody ever knew. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm only saying that because that is the kind of thinking our country needs. We need thinking where trade deals with China, with Japan, with India, with everybody. We're getting ripped. We're being taken apart piece by piece, slowly. Slowly. China laughs at us. They laugh at our stupidity. They laugh at our incompetent politicians. They have geniuses negotiating for them. We have people that don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. Mexico, and by the way, officially, and I've only said this about 200 times, but it never gets reported. I love the Mexican people. I love the spirit of the Mexican people. I love them. Many, many people from Mexico, legal. They went in the old-fashioned way. They're legal. Many, many people from Mexico work for me. And over the years, thousands of people, Hispanics, have worked for me. And many, many work for me now. But thousands. They're incredible people. By the way, nobody ever says that. Nobody ever says that. They always cut that out. And I'll go a step further. I respect Mexico greatly as a country. But the problem we have is that their leaders are much smarter, sharper, and more cunning than our leaders, and they're killing us at the border, and they're killing us in trade. They're killing us. And every once in a while, I'll see a rally, and it's put up by the Mexican government, in my opinion. People come in, they're so perfect. They're like central casting. And you know how long the rallies last? Like about 12 minutes. They go home. But when you do, and I've said this often, it's very, very hard for a very successful person, and I've heard it from the time I was a little boy, to run for president or even political office. And I find it, and I have headlines every day. ESPN drops Trump. A friend of mine in Paris called, "Oh, Don, it's too bad about ESPN." You know what they were doing? They rented my golf club for a day. They put up a big deposit. I took their deposit, and then I rented it to somebody else. I made two for the price of one. No, it's true. Then the next day, all over the world, NASCAR drops Trump. No, NASCAR. And then friends of mine call up from Europe. It's headlines, NASCAR. Don, it's too bad about NASCAR. I feel so. You know what that one was? They rented a banquet hall at Trump National Doral in Miami for one evening. I took their deposit. I took their deposit, and you know what? I just rented it for much more money than they were paying. So it's two for the price of one. You know, I may make money running for president. It's very interesting. Then all over the place, I hear Macy's. Now, Macy's hurts because the head of Macy's, I thought was a great friend of mine, Terry Lundgren. Nice guy. He called me up, and I'm in New Hampshire. And I'm getting ready to go on to make a speech. Sort of interesting. It's like 6:30 in the evening. And I get a call from Terry Lundgren at Macy's. And the speech is packed. Packed. It's a house. It was supposed to be in the house. They didn't have enough room. They had 300-400 people. And they never thought this was going to happen. They thought there were going to be 30, like this. This is a little larger. But the same thing proportionately. So my phone rings, my cell phone, and it's Terry Lundgren of Macy's. And the man on stage is getting ready to introduce me. And he said, and you know, we have Donald Trump, the American dream, and all blah, 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 everything. And my phone rings during the introduction. I'm going to be going up there like in a minute. And he goes, Donald, hi. It's like my best friend. I said, Terry, what's your problem? He said, you're very controversial. Can you believe it? He said, now I'm supposed to be going up, I'm supposed to make a speech. I got all these people. And by the way, cameras, just like you have all these cameras, we're in live television all over the place like we are now. And he said, Donald, I had calls from Hispanic people saying they're going to boycott Macy's. I don't know what to do. I said, Terry, be tough. They'll be gone. One day. One day. Now, this is a man that I played golf with. I'm with him all the time. I mean, really was, you understand? Because I don't forget things. I don't forget. He said to me, please, Donald, can I cut you? It's not a big deal. I'm selling ties. And you know what? Honestly, they were made in China, so I didn't care that much. I was So I'm walking up the stairs to make a speech, and I have Lundgren saying, I'd like to cut you because he's going to get some bad publicity, he thinks. And I walk upstairs, and he said, and now the American dream. And I'm still talking to Lundgren, and it's like a minute and a half before I walk on stage. People say, what happened? And I made a good speech. No notes, no nothing. And everybody was happy. And I just got cut from Macy's. And here's the bottom line on Macy's. Thousands and thousands of people are cutting up their Macy's credit card. I love it. Thousands. Then I get a call from NBC. Now, let me tell you about NBC. No, I got to tell you. Hey, look, I love the people at NBC. We had a tremendous success with The Apprentice. And they renewed The Apprentice. See, I give up a lot. You're going to see how much money I made with The Apprentice come Wednesday or Thursday when I do my filing. Seriously, it's very lucrative. You know, it's great when you have a big television show. It's like, you know, you're a movie star, you get a lot of money, right? Not that much, but a lot. But you're going to see very impressive numbers. So NBC calls me, we'd like to see you. Now, they don't care about inclusion. They were talking about inclusion. You know, they write the press release. So I read this. I say, this is incredible. But they call me, and a couple of months ago, the head of NBC comes to see me. And the head of NBC's boss, I don't want to mention names because they're really good people. They're friends of mine, although I probably will never speak to them again either. And you know what the head of NBC's boss, that's Comcast, because they own NBC. So I get a call, the head of reality for NBC, the head president of NBC, and the head of everything, head of Comcast. And they come see me a number of months ago. Please do The Apprentice. Please, they won't deny it. They won't deny it. I said, I can't. I want to make America great again. I've done The Apprentice now for 12 years. And it's a great show. For 12 years, there have been 14 or 15 copies of The Apprentice. Every one have failed. Every single one. I mean, I could give you the names, but I don't want to embarrass people. Give you a couple of names. No, nice people. Mark Cuban did one called The Benefactor. It was a disaster. Richard Branson did one. Great guy, but it didn't work out. Tommy Hilfiger, who I love, tenant in my building. Great guy, didn't work out. Hilton's did one. Martha Stewart did one for us. Did one for Mark Burnett and Donald Trump. Martha Stewart. She just got out of the can. No, it's true. She's hot as a pistol, right? You know, they show her coming out. You know, she's got the whole thing with the whole outfit that she's wearing. The whole thing. I said, what a great idea. So we actually did The Apprentice done by us. It wasn't even a copy. It was called The Apprentice. Yes. Within a couple of shows, it was over. It was over. So I must have something, right? I must have. So here's the story. NBC sees this. I mean, they're smart people. So NBC comes to my office, and they want me to do The Apprentice so badly. And what do? I say, I can't. I'm going to run for president. And I can't. And I said, because of equal time. Now, you know what equal time is. Such a stupid law. Think of it. Obama can go on television all day long and be president and run for office. But if I have a television show, what happens is everybody running for office would have to be able to do The Apprentice, equal time. So you'll have a good guy named Rick Santorum. You'll have all these guys. You'll have somebody that used to head up Lehman Brothers, the governor from Ohio. You'll have headed up Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers almost took down the world. He was a managing partner. I think he's a nice man. I don't know him. But I know if you're the managing partner of Lehman Brothers almost, you're not looking too good, you know. But all of these guys, they would have to be given 2 hours on primetime television on Monday or Sunday night. I don't think so. So they came to my office and they said, would like you to do it, so important. And by the way, they renewed The Apprentice. It was really very interesting because a lot of people said, well, how could they end the upfronts? They announced The Apprentice, which is good because I always want to be loved, you know? Like when I went on dates, if a woman dropped me, which happened often, I would always like to say, or at least in my own mind, that I dropped her. Does that make sense? So what happened makes me feel better. So they renewed The Apprentice, and I said, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to run for president. They didn't believe me. I said, why don't you believe me? Why would you give up a primetime show? Mark Burnett calls, from great guy, Survivor, Apprentice, great guy. He really is a wonderful guy and a friend of mine. He calls me, he goes, Donald, they're giving you an extension. Nobody turns down an extension. He said, I've never heard of it before. I said, Mark, I'm going to run for president. Nobody believed me. Then I run, and the guys during my office, they said, all right, run, and then by September, we'll do something. Do you believe it? I said, well, if I don't do well, I would have done that. You know, why not? I'm not, you know, if I'm not doing well, if it's obvious, there's a problem. We just went to #1 in the polls. So NBC went nuts. They renewed the show and they don't have their star. And everybody else failed with similar shows. And they're angry at me. So again, don't believe the inclusion. They got Reverend Al Sharpton working for them. Okay? He's actually not a bad guy. He's a con man. You have to understand it. Reverend Al is a con man. You know, tells people I'm going to picket you if you don't give. I mean, this guy is a con man. But I know him for 20 years. He's fine. You got to understand who you're dealing with. They've got Lion Brian Williams. He's okay. They sent me the most beautiful present a couple of months ago. Hundreds of, I shouldn't say the name because I deal with all of them, but in this case, Titleist. They sent me hundreds and hundreds of Titleist golf balls, top of the line. They sent them to me. From your friends, card, from your friends at NBC. A short time later, they say, he's not inclusive, me. I'm more inclusive than anybody. More inclusive than anybody. I then get a call, Univision. Now, Univision controls, and by the way, believe me, Univision has a certain power. Now, I didn't know much about Univision. I thought they were very wealthy. They're actually not wealthy at all. They're highly over-levered. They've got, like, I think $10 billion in debt. They have to do an IPO. Now, how stupid is this? They could have waited a couple of weeks, done their IPO, and been done. Instead, they do it early. They couldn't do it fast enough. Because you know why? In my opinion, it's only my opinion, the Mexican government totally tells Univision, it's about 80% of their market, 70% of them, totally tells Univision what to do. Totally. So the Mexican government is not happy with me, to put it mildly. And again, I respect Mexico, but their leaders are too smart for our leaders, because we have stupid leaders, okay? And I'll tell you, just between you and I, just between this little bit of a group, thank you very much. USA. So the Mexican government does not care about the border nearly as much as they care about the bad trade deals that the United States is making with Mexico. That's really what it's all about. That's really what it's all about. So I just sued Univision for $500 million. With all of that being said, we have to be strong. We have to take our country back. We have to run the country properly. So, I'm going to bring up a man who's a great man. He's a great, great guy. I saw him the other day on television. Don't worry, it's okay. You can shout. I wonder if the Mexican government sent them over here. I think so. Because I'm telling you, I tell about the bad deals that this country's making. Mexico, I respect the country. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our manufacturing. They're taking our money. They're taking everything, and they're killing us on the border. And Mexico does not like it. So remember this. Don't worry, we'll take our country back very soon. Very soon. So the other day, you know, it's funny, I got a great review for a speech, including my opening speech when I announced I'm running for president. It wasn't until 5 days later that people started saying, oh, he said something wrong. What they don't say is they cut it in the middle of the sentence. They cut it. Because those people, many of them, not all, some are great, but many of them are very dishonest people, meaning the press. Very dishonest. Very dishonest. I'll give you one quick example, because I want to bring somebody up for a second who's fantastic. But I'll give you one quick example. I say, and it's fairly standard because I believe it strongly, the American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and stronger and better than ever before. Right? Right? So, and I say it usually once during a speech. Every once in a while I won't. You know, I don't use teleprompters like the president. I speak from the heart. So I say the American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it, it's standard, but I'm going to make it bigger, better, stronger than ever before. Okay. So now I go home. My wife says to me, darling, that was such a tough statement. What? I turn on the television. The American dream is dead. Period. Cut. I said, oh, what a horrible statement. They are so dishonest. They are so dishonest. You know, what I usually do, because if you really love this country, you have a very, very hard time convincing people that what you're doing is right and that you're really smart. And like a lot of us are really smart. I'm really smart. Went to the Wharton School of Finance. Even then, a long time ago, like the hardest or one of the hardest schools to get into. Did well at the school. Came out, made a fortune. Wrote a book called The Art of the Deal. Did everybody read The Art of the Deal? They say the #1 selling business book of all time, which I agree, but I'll say one of them because if I'm slightly off by 2 copies, they'll say, oh, Trump exaggerated. But I think is the most, was #1 bestseller. Wrote many bestsellers, many, I think 12. So did a lot of things. But The Art of the Deal was like the #1 selling business book of all time. Great. Then I Do The Apprentice, became this tremendous hit. NBC was desperate to have it. Forget it. Now they can put somebody else on. Let's see how long it lasts. Okay. So ready? And then I hear like, Donald Trump doesn't deserve to be on the same stage with some failed senator, failed governor, or something. It's sort of amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? And the poll just came out, and I'm tied with Jeb Bush. And I said, oh, that's too bad. How can I be tied with this guy? He's terrible. He's terrible. He's weak on immigration. Do you know the sanctuary cities? Do you know he had 5 of them in Florida while he was governor? Can you believe this? I didn't know that. 5 of them. He's totally in favor of Common Core, meaning your children in Phoenix and other places are going to be educated by bureaucrats from Washington who, for the most part, just want to pick up a check. Give me a break. And he's in favor. I don't see him as a factor, and I know it's the Bush name, which, got us into lots of words. I mean, in all fairness, not the greatest. But Jeb Bush, I don't get it. So when they said, Mr. Trump, you're in first place. Oh, that's good. You're tied with Jeb Bush. I said, that's not good. How could I be tied with this guy? But I'll tell you what. I'm going to bring up a man to say just a few words. His son was viciously and violently shot by an illegal immigrant. His son was a star athlete, a star student. He applied to Stanford and many great colleges. He could have gone anywhere. And I met Jamil on television about a week ago. I see this guy, he's mentioning my name. I say, oh no, not again, because I figure he's killing me like everybody else, right? My wife said, no, I think he's saying some really good things. I said, I doubt it. They're hitting me left, right. I said, I doubt it. Well, I turn it up. And he said, the only man that's sticking up for us is Donald Trump. I said, wow. This guy is great. And we were at the news conference with his mother and his sister yesterday, and it was one of the most incredible things. So I'd like to speak a little bit about his son and how incredible his son was and how his son should be here with us. I mean, his son should be alive, and he should be in one of the great colleges, and he should be maybe someday in the NFL, but he won't be because an illegal immigrant shot him violently. And this guy is the best guy. He's become my friend. He's been with me for a few days. And just say a few words about your boy.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Jamil Shaw. My son was named Jamil Shaw II. He was shot dead in the street by an illegal alien, or should I say, someone in the country illegal. And he was a good kid. I'm sorry, he was a good kid. He was a good kid. He was. We thought we did a good job. When he was 5 years old, I started training him to get him ready. My goal was to get him ready for the 9th grade, which is high school. And we know high school football is big time. You have to really start early. We were doing the Pop Warner. We were going through everything. And I was on his case 24/7. I'm one of those hands-on dads, like my dad was. He was hands-on, Yeah. He was hands-on and the belt on, And, I respected my father, and I was scared of him more than I was scared of the police, So I made sure I couldn't do nothing wrong. And I wanted my son to be the same way. I didn't want to have to spank him. I wanted him to do what I say because it's the right thing to do, and you want to make it in life. So we trained, we got to high school, and he just really, it was unbelievable. I started getting scared. It's good to be true. He was 3-time MVP. He was in the 11th grade, all 3 years MVP, Player of the Year, All City. I'm sure people out here know what I'm talking about if their kids went through that kind of stuff. And the hard work and the sacrificing that the kids have to do and the parents, my weekends was his. I had to go and take care of everything. So one Sunday morning we went to Pasadena at a training clinic for Division I prospects. So, we were like, wow. He was like, man, Dad, we did it. So make a long story short, on the way home, he asked me, could he go to the mall? And of course, I didn't want to, but, all right, man, what time are you going to be home? I said, well, be home by 7. It was like 3 o'clock, it was still early. So he went to the mall. I called him up, about 7 o'clock. Hey, he wasn't home. Hey, where are you? Hey, I'm coming home from the mall. We missed the bus. We're safe, Dad, we're safe. Because he knew that's all I was, I said, make sure to call me. I would have came and got you, So I called you in an hour, called him in an hour. Where are you? He's like, right around the corner, old man, that's what he called me. And I was like, whew, I felt really good inside. I thought, whew, he made it home. You know, I live in L.A., you know. So he had a little brother, 8 years old. We would, hey, get your clothes on. We get ready to go get some track spikes. He had a track meet that Friday. This was Sunday night. So, you know, a couple minutes later, gunshots. I mean, really loud, really crispy. So I knew, oh, my God. It was outside my house. Called his cell phone, didn't answer it. Man, I knew. I went outside and looked down the street. There he was, laying in the street, dead. You know, I couldn't believe it. Even right now, when I say it, I don't believe it. You know, he was laying there with his eyes closed, looking toward the house. Looked like he was asleep. You know, it looked like he was asleep, but his body, I never seen a dead body before, and his body was obvious. He was dead, you know, and I remember, you know, just a hard situation to go through. After all that, you know, I found out that the guy that killed him was illegally in the country. Come on, you know, I thought somebody black did it. You know, I just really felt somebody black when I thought that. I wasn't even thinking like that. Found out the guy was on his third gun charge. Now you have somebody illegally in the country on their third gun charge. He's been arrested 3 times already. He's in jail again. Assault with a deadly weapon, battery on a peace officer. They gave him 8 months in the county jail. 8 months. Lit him out 4 months early. Now this was 18th Street gang member in the gang database. You know, he's been arrested twice for gun charges, stabbed people, put schools on lockdown. It was just really violent, you know. And these were the ones that Obama said they wanted. The violent ones, the gangbangers, the ones with guns. He was released on a Saturday night without any supervision. Sunday night, he was in my neighborhood. My son coming home from the mall, you know, and he went to my neighbor's house. That's why he was in my neighborhood. To make a long story short, he went to my neighbor's house, knocked on the door. He wasn't home. On the way back to his car, saw my son coming. Ran right over there. He was on the phone with his girlfriend. He heard the guy ask him, well, my son was told the girl, oh, something's going wrong, this ain't right, what should I, you know, kind of stuff. And she was like, run. It was too late. Heard the guy say, what set you from? And then he killed him. Shot him in the stomach. You know, one of the neighbors saw it, shot him in the stomach with a .45. So you can imagine, a 45, 17-year-old kid, shot him in the stomach while he was on the ground. According to the coroner, he had his hands up like this, and he shot him through his hand. They thought he had three gunshots because his hand was really badly damaged, bullet wound in his stomach and one in his head. The coroner said that he was on his back with like this, and he shot him through his hands and to his head. Now, we hear all the time, Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. Now, that was really hands up, don't shoot. I'm sure he wasn't saying anything because he just had a bullet wound in his stomach, but you could imagine your child. I tell people all the time when they protest me or they protest Mr. Trump, what you have to do is soul search. Put yourself in my shoes. Think about your child laying in the street dead. Your mother, your wife, your father, anybody, you know. We're not designed for that, you know. Didn't find out someone illegally in the country did it. So when I found out, you know, I'm going to move on to Donald Trump. I found out when Donald Trump was running for office, I watched it because, you know, everybody likes Donald Trump. You know, if it not nothing to do with the president said, you want to see what he got to say, you know. So I looked and I saw what he was saying, and he was talking about saving the country. People, my friends were calling me, liberal friends calling me, turn the TV on, Donald Trump is talking about helping America. You know, I turned on and I saw when I saw it, I was so happy. For the first time in 7 years, I felt hope, real hope, you know. Yeah, I felt real change, you know. And one thing Donald Trump showed me when he came out aggressively like he did is that he can weather the storm, you know. We need somebody that can weather the storm. No one else can lose that kind of money and still be able to do what they got to do. You know what I mean? You know, I tell people all the time, the only difference between me and Donald Trump is that he doesn't care what's going on because he has the resources. I don't care. I don't have nothing. I have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? So it's like a team. You know, they can't stop us. You know, and we really got to get him in here. He loves America. You know, I would tell you, I'm serious. If Donald Trump wasn't a real deal, I wouldn't come around him because, you know, my son was murdered, so I don't trust nobody. You know, I mean, I think everybody, you know, if you're not against illegal immigration, you're my enemy. I can't help that. That's how I feel. My son was murdered. You have to understand that. You have to understand, what would you expect from your government? What would you expect from a politician that's running for office? What would you expect if your son was dead, your daughter, your mother? What would you expect from him? You expect for him to go out there and fight for us. What do we have? You know, he's the only one that's talking about saving our country. All the Republicans, we were going to be bamboozled. Donald Trump exposed them all because they were all going to say, we're going to save the border and we're going to save, and they did nothing. Because now they're after him. So what were they going to do for us? Nothing. We have to trust Donald Trump the way you trust your mom and your dad when you was growing up. You don't have to believe everything they believe. You don't have to do whatever they say, but you have to trust them. That's your mom, that's your dad, it's somebody you have to believe in. And I can always say, when people don't want to hear what I have to say, ask yourself, what would you do if somebody killed your kids?
Thank you, Jamil. So, amazing story. By the way, Jamil's sister's here too, and she told me the story that when Jamil saw the boy laying on the sidewalk dead, this incredible young man with such a future, Jamil laid down on the sidewalk and started pounding the sidewalk with his hand and badly damaged his hand, badly. He couldn't understand it. He couldn't believe it. Just an amazing guy. I mean, just an amazing guy. And he wasn't being heard. He wasn't being heard. And the only reason I heard him is because he was talking on a show and he was mentioning how badly they've all been treated. And then you have in San Francisco a beautiful young woman, Kate, and killed by somebody that just pleaded innocent. First pleaded guilty. Now he has a good lawyer. And went into court and pleaded innocent. And they'll be playing around with him for about 15 years in court. And probably he'll get off too. It's a horrible thing that's going on with our country. And these are two people that should be alive. And these are people that shouldn't have been in this country. They flow in like water. And I love legal immigration. I love it. I love it. I think it's great. My wife is a legal immigrant. I mean, she went through a whole long process. It's not easy. And we should maybe make it easier and faster, which I think is fine. And we'll have great people come in. And we'll have them come in from all countries. Mexico, every place. These are great people. And you know, one of the things that I've seen, somebody says, well, because it's been an amazing week. And, you know, it's been like an incredible week because I thought I was going to be the jobs person. Because every poll, CNN did a poll the other day. I'm killing everybody on jobs. I'm killing everybody on leadership. You know, like, it's like funny. I was like, you know, I went through these different the only thing I'm not killing, a lot of people don't like me. I said, what difference does it make? This is about competence. Somebody said, you win on leadership by far. You win on absolute economic, financial, anything having to do with the economy. You like lapping the field much, much higher than anybody else. But they said, but a lot of people don't know whether or not they like me. I'm actually a nice person. But I actually said, if I'm winning in these categories, why are we even going through primaries? Hillary Clinton's going to be a horrible president. It's horrible. If she even wins her own primary, which I don't know. And by the way, just so you understand, even the press will say, this crowd today blows away anything that Bernie Sanders has had. That I can tell you. But if you think about it, Hillary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State in the history of our country. The worst. The world blew up around her. Our enemies are a disaster. Our friends, and they hate us more. Our friends are all gone. They're all gone. They're all sort of like, we don't get along with anybody. Everybody's ripping us off. Whether it's Russia or China. You know what we've done? For 20 years, I've heard the worst thing that could happen would be if Russia and China start uniting. We've united them because we did things that were very onerous, because Obama doesn't like Putin, and Putin doesn't respect or like Obama. And all of a sudden, Russia and China now are doing all sorts of things together. So we've driven them together. And I've always heard that's a disaster. And it is a disaster. We have driven them. So Hillary Clinton was the worst. Now tell me something. Why would she, why? Just tell me, why would she be a good president? She'd be terrible. Who would you rather have negotiating a deal, a trade deal, with anybody? Trump or Hillary? Well, we have to get there first. So, who would you rather have negotiating a really good deal with? Mexico, China, Japan, Trump, or Jeb Bush? So, when I started, I really thought it would be, you know, a long slog, and I was okay with it. I didn't think that the immigration thing would take on a life like it has. I made some very tough statements about people flowing through, because that's one of the things to make our country great again. We have to create borders, otherwise we don't have a country. So it's one of many things. And I've been very strong on it. It's one of many things. We have to make great trade deals and all. So I said, strong borders, one of the things. I said trade deals. Who would do better? I know, I'll tell you what, I know the greatest negotiators in the world. Some are horrible people, horrible human beings. Who cares? Some Wall Street guys, they're brutal, they're miserable. You wouldn't want to go out to dinner. They're terrible people. I love them. I know the best. I know people that are totally overrated. They're not good like they think and like the press thinks. I know people that you never heard of that are better than all of them. I would take one, put her in charge of Japan. Good luck. You know who's our primary representative right now? Carolyn Kennedy. You know how she got the job? 60 Minutes. She went to the White House. She said, I'd love to have a job. I have nothing to do. They said, how would you like to be the ambassador to Japan? She goes, really? And Abe from Japan, who's a killer, he's great. He's already knocking the hell out of the yen, by the way, which makes it even more impossible for us to compete. And he's whining and dining her, and I watch it all the time, whining and dining, and just doing a number on our country. A friend of mine is a great excavator. That's what he does. He digs foundations. He digs lots of dirt, earth. But he's a great excavator, big. And he always bought Caterpillar. And he calls me up recently, and he goes, I'm a little depressed. Why? I just put in a big order for machinery, for excavating equipment. I said, oh, that's good. Did you buy Caterpillar? No, I bought Komatsu. I said, you bought Komatsu? It's fine. It's a well-known brand. I said, you bought Komatsu, why? He said, because Japan, this is very recently, has so devalued the yen, brilliant, smart, these are smart people, that it made it impossible So he ordered Komatsu instead of Caterpillar. This is happening all over the place. Today, in the Wall Street Journal, big story, Ford going to build tremendous plants all over the place overseas. Ford, by the way, speaking of Mexico, again, I respect them. I wish we had smart people. Ford is building a $2.5 billion plant. Who ever heard of this? $1 billion plant. $2.5 billion in Mexico. Now, here's the story. Now think of it. So I'm saying to myself, that's not good. And in addition to that, in Tennessee, a big plant, $1.2 billion, was going to be built in Tennessee. Wall Street Journal. And all of a sudden, the last moment, they decide to go to Mexico. It's going to be built now in Mexico by a big German car company. And Tennessee is great. And the people were great. They all thought they had it. And at the last moment, goes to Mexico. So I said to myself, wow, $2.5 billion. And they're going to make cars and trucks and parts. And they're going to send them into the United States. No tax, no nothing. Now, I told you, I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I'm like a really smart person. My uncle was a perfect, Dr. John Trump was at MIT, one of the smartest people, great engineer, great, like, smart, right? For many years he was at MIT. And I'm saying to myself, where does this help us for Ford to build a plant in Mexico and then sell without tax? No tax. All it means is one thing, that we don't build a plant in the United States, whether it's in Phoenix or anywhere, it's being built in Mexico. You're right. That one I like. So I said to myself, okay, Jeb Bush is president, and he knows it's the wrong thing. Right now we have Obama. He won't call. He doesn't even call to get our hostages back from Iran. Here we are in the middle of a deal, and he doesn't call about that. One sentence, I'd say, you got to, before we start, get those people back. Used to be 3, now it's 4. Get those people. They'd be back the next hour. You need the right messenger. The Iran deal is a disaster. The Iran deal is a disaster. They're begging. Our chief negotiator at 73 is in a bicycle race. He falls and breaks his leg. This is the mentality we have. So I said, what would Jeb Bush do to get... Benghazi. You're right, Benghazi, another Benghazi. You hear our politicians, John McCain, 2 days, oh, Benghazi, you don't hear about it anymore. Hillary Clinton with emails, the emails, 2 days. I'm more disappointed in the Republicans in many ways. They talk and talk and talk. So, Jeb Bush, let's say he's president. Oh, yeah. So let's say Jeb Bush is president. He knows it's no good to have a $2.5 billion plant built right near our country. Well, how does it help us, right? So here's what happens. He knows it's no good. He'll have a little pressure. Don't let the plant be built. And he might even say, don't let the plant be built. Might even call the head of Ford. The plant's not going to be built. And then the next day, he'll be called by special interests that supported him, his lobbyists who push him around like a piece of candy, or his donors who have stock in Ford. And they'll say, you can't do that. I helped you. You can't hurt them. You just can't do it. He folds in about 2 seconds. So let me say Trump is president. Okay? Let me say Trump. So I don't need anybody's money. Actually, people are setting up PACs all over the place. I don't care. If they want to give it to me, I'll take it, okay? But I don't need money. I don't want money. So I'm doing my own. You'll see that on Thursday or whatever the hell day I file. You'll see I did really well. Much better than anyone ever thought. Just the opposite. So here's the story. So Trump is president. So I'll get a call from the head of Ford. And I'll say, you got to build in the United States. Sorry. They'll say, but Mr. President, really, we don't want to. I said, here's the story. Number one, congratulations on your new plant in Mexico. And number two, we're going to charge you 35% for every car, truck, and part you send over. And here's what would happen. Here's what would happen. Now, this isn't like 99% sure. This is 100%. In fact, you know the negotiators, the killers that I told you about, these bad people? I wouldn't even bother calling them because this is too easy. I can just do this, like, with a couple of phone calls. So here's what would happen with Trump. I will get some calls. He will say, Mr. President, this is terrible. Please, please. Sorry, can't do anything. Sorry, I don't care. I want you to build here. I want jobs in the United States. So, listen, so they would go and they'd call up the lobbyists. I'd say, fellas, Hey, I hire lobbyists. I have lobbyists all over the place. They're great. If I want something, go do this. I know the system better than anybody. I'm a donor. Somebody said, oh, you gave to the Democrats. Of course I give to everybody. I want to get everything done. Everybody loves me. Everybody loves me. I give to everybody. Now, in a lot of ways, that's very bad, because you know what? That's bad for the country. You know, it's bad, but that's the way it works. But I give to everybody. They all love me. They don't love me so much anymore, by the way, I have to tell you. But here's what happens. So he'll call. I say he folds sometime prior to 5 o'clock in the evening. But he could be tough, and he may last till 12 o'clock the following day. And he'll say, please, and 5 guys will call me that are friends of mine and, you know, who I couldn't care less. I'll say, no, you don't understand. I want that plant built in the United States. I want jobs in the United States. I want to bring our industry back. Now, this is just one of many deals. And here's what happens. I will get a call probably the first day, but maybe the second day, because they're tough negotiators. And I'll say, Mr. President, would you reconsider? I'd say, no. He'd say, Mr. President, we've decided to build the plant in Phoenix, okay? So simple. It's so simple. It's so simple. We have totally incompetent people. Now, some people say they're bad people. I don't think they're that smart to be bad people. I just think, honestly, I mean, a lot of people get angry when I say, I don't think they're bad. I think they're stupid. I think they're incompetent. So we've got to take our country back. We've got to get rid of Obamacare. We've got to repeal it and replace it with something good. And we have to take care. You know, I know this doesn't sound very conservative. We got to take care of everybody, not just the people up here. We got to take care of everybody. Okay, get used to it, conservatives. I love you, conservatives. Get used to it. Let's take care of everybody, please. And by the way, Obamacare doesn't. And if you look at the premiums are going through the roof. The deductibles, frankly, you have to get hit with a Komatsu tractor in order to use them. They're so high. We can do it. You get rid of state lines, you put it out, you'll have great care for much less money, the country will spend much less, and we will take care of those people that can't do it. We have to, we have to, we have to. Okay. We have to build up our military. I'm in the real estate business, as many of you have heard. You'll see that in a couple of days, by the way. I'm in the real estate, and all the time I get listings. A base is for sale, a naval base, a army base, a marine. They're always, I said, how many bases are there? All the time I'm getting these listings for bases. I said, what are we doing? We are hated throughout the world. China is building in the South China Sea, islands. We can't do that because we would not be able to get an environmental impact statement. Can you believe? We'd go through 25 years of being sued by the environmentalists. And by the way, I hate to say this, I've been given many, many environmental awards. I get a lot of environmental awards. But we have to take back the heart of our country. We have to do something special. We have to bring back, and let me tell you, in bringing back our military, we have to do something else. We have to take care of our veterans, because our veterans are treated like third-class citizens, and they're the greatest. Now, if you remember a few days ago, Bush was asked the simplest question: was Iraq a good thing or a bad thing? He couldn't give an answer. Took him 5 days before he said it was bad. Now think of this, 5 days. How can you have a guy like that negotiating for 5 days? It took him. And finally he said it was bad. Okay, could have done it like in the first 3 seconds. But it took him 5 days. And if you think about it, we spent $2 trillion, lost thousands of lives, thousands. We have wounded warriors who I love all over the place, all over. They're amazing, I mean, amazing people. So we have wounded warriors all over. We got nothing. And today, Iraq is meeting with Iran to do some kind of a merger. So in 2004, in Reuters, anybody from Reuters back there? I'm sure they are. There's an article in July of 2004. Trump said, don't invade Iraq. Now, I am more for the military, and I am the most militaristic person in this room. I would have a military that's so strong that we would never have to use it, because people would say, no way we're messing with them. No way we're messing with them. And I'd get along with Putin, and I'd get along with China. You know, China, largest bank in the world is in China. They're my tenant. I just renewed their lease. That's true. Who speaks worse about China than me? Now, I do it out of respect. But China, they just renewed their lease. We would never move to a building other than your building. They love it. But it's called respect. It's called respect. They respect smart things, smart people, smart deals. They have no respect for our country. So with Bush, if you people go with Bush, you're going to lose. I'll tell you one other thing, and we're going to wrap it up now, but I'll tell you something, and this will be surprising to a lot of people. Thousands and thousands of people work for me, tens of thousands. I've given tens of thousands. I've taken care of education for families. I've taken care of health care at the highest level. I don't even have to worry about Obamacare because my people do better. My people got lucky, but I got lucky too. They're great people. Great people. But ISIS will be in such trouble. ISIS, believe me, they will be in such trouble. You know the problem, I have to say this. So, we're fighting wars, and we're backing all these stupid people that, honestly, I don't say they're stupid, they don't care, like the Iraqis. They have no love for the country. The leadership, there is no leadership, but let's assume they're all thieves. They're all terrible people, 100% corrupt. So we send to one of our so-called allies 2,300 Humvees. Now think of this. Normally you'd say like 3. How many are there? We sent 3. These are armor-plated Humvees. You can imagine what they cost. They don't even report it because it's probably so high that, it's another scandal, like the $5 billion website for Obamacare, right? So, which never worked and still doesn't work. So we send 2,300 Humvees. One bullet is fired in the air, and the people we gave the Humvees to flee, and the enemy takes them over. And they're better than the ones that our boys and women have, because they were the best. They're gone in one day. Remember Yemen, how we had the victory, the big victory? It turned out to be a false victory, because a few months later, it was gone. If you think that those people, if you think that they want Yemen, take a look at a map with that long, beautiful border along Saudi Arabia. They want the oil. Do you remember what I said? And I get a lot of credit for this. They said, he's one guy, and I'm a very militaristic guy, but he's one guy that said, don't do Iraq, because you'll destabilize. And then Iran will take over, and then somebody else worse than Saddam Hussein will take over the rest. ISIS, worse than Saddam Hussein was never as bad as these people. These people are brutal. They're chopping off everybody's heads, especially if you happen to be Christian. They chop off your head. They dunk people with a cage. Did you see that? They dunk them and drown them. These people make Saddam Hussein look like a choir boy. Okay? And I said this in 2004. We're going to lose the oil. Okay. So now Bush goes in and he makes a mistake, and then Obama, frankly, might as well have stayed there, but okay. But he made a mistake too. And I said, keep the oil. Do you remember that? And everyone said, you can't keep the oil. It's a sovereign country. You can't keep the oil. I said, keep the oil. We're in there now. You blew it. You shouldn't have gone in. And every other candidate is fleeing. They're all trying to say, well, they didn't know. There was intelligence said this. They all said do it. I'm the only one that said no. I'm the only one that said no. Keep the oil, I said. I've been saying this for 2-3 years. Don't leave. Keep the oil. Because if you don't get it, Iran will get it, or somebody else is going to get it. So here's who has it. Iran is taking it, and ISIS has it. And ISIS now is building a hotel in Iraq. They're competing with me. Do you believe it? They're renovating this building. They're building a hotel. They're wealthy. They have the oil. And I said, keep it. And great criticism. Trump said, keep the oil. Well, that's a sovereign country. Isn't that a horrible thing to say? These are stupid people we have leading us. So ISIS, believe me, I would take them out so fast it would be. Have to do it. Have to do it. See, I think they overplayed their hand. I actually think they made a big mistake. When they started, like you take James Foley, so great, such a great guy. I got to know his parents. And when I met the parents, they're very interesting. Joe McQuaid from New Hampshire, who's an amazing guy, said, would you come up and make a speech? And I made a speech about, sort of like I'm doing today, and it was in honor of James McQuaid. That's the union leader up in New Hampshire. And I made this speech, and these parents are incredible. So think of it. They did the beheading, and then they've done other, and I said, you know, they're making a big mistake, ISIS, because if they wouldn't have done that, and if they wouldn't keep doing it, we wouldn't have cared. We could have been gone. But you can't. Now, when you see what they're doing, you can't. Had they not done those things, the level of violence, we're like living in medieval times. You know, when you hear medieval times, you always think we're all civilized. It's a jungle. It's horrible out there. But when they started doing the beheadings, they really, I think they made a mistake. But not with Obama, because he's weak and he's ineffective, and he's not respected. Not respected. So here's the problem. Here's the kind of deals we make. James Foley is dead. Great guy, amazing parents. We have Sergeant Bergdahl, a traitor. Right? So we negotiate for Sergeant Bergdahl, a no-good traitor. 6 people were killed trying to find him. 6 young, in this case, men, went out to try and get him. 6 of them never came back. 6 people died. And we have Sergeant Bergdahl. And here's our deal. This is just like the stupid deal that we're making with Iran on nuclear. This is just like everything else we do. The deals we make with China, the deals we make with Mexico. We don't know what we're doing. So we get Bergdahl, a no-good traitor. And frankly, I renegotiate deals every once in a while, not too often. But I'd send them back. And if they don't want them, send them back anyway. I want to renegotiate that deal. They get 5 killers that are right now back on the battlefield trying to kill everybody, including the people in this room. And these were the 5 people that they most wanted. So I call Obama the 5-for-1 president. Who would make that deal? Now, I don't think it's because he's a bad person. Some people say bad person. I just say, who would make a deal like this? But these are the same deals that we make with all of these other countries. When I look at Japan, I just got over from Los Angeles. We had a tremendous crowd there, too. We had a tremendous crowd. And we had a big one in Las Vegas this morning. But when I look at these massive boats, I've never seen boats like this. The biggest boats with cars coming from Japan. And then we can't sell corn. We can't sell beef. It's peanuts. We can't sell beef. So we do about 20% to their 100%. So I had an idea on the way over. I said, tell Japan, that's okay, everything's fine. We're going to cut your orders down to 20%. Let it match. Let it match. Simple deal. Simple deal. And I had another idea that's also very simple. When Mexico, and you remember, when Fidel Castro took over, he opened his prisons and he sent everybody over to the United States. And we accepted them. And it was hell. But we didn't send them back, we accepted them. In a much, much, much more sophisticated way, Mexico's doing that to us. Because why would they want to have a prisoner like these 2 horrible people that hurt so badly, destroyed, but hurt so badly, the Shaw family and Kate's family? Why would they want to have them in jail for 40 years paying for it? So I had an idea. They should have had him. The one with Kate came over 5 times. In my opinion, he was pushed out by Mexico. They don't want him. They don't want to take care of him. Why would they want to take care of him? And believe me, Univision, which I'm suing, by the way, for $500 million because they broke a cut. But Univision is doing the work of the Mexican government. And I don't blame the Mexican. I respect Mexico. I don't blame the Mexican government. I just wish our people were smart. They're really smart doing that. They're sending them to us, and we're either putting them in jails or letting them go free, which is even worse. But we have to do something. So I had an idea. I said, every time an illegal comes to this country through the border, because Mexico is pushing them over, remember that. And by the way, unbelievable people are coming. A lot of people that are illegal are great people. Just let's get it straight. They don't want to give it straight because the press are liars. They're terrible people. They're terrible people. Terrible. Not all of them, but many of them. But here's an idea. So Mexico is sending lots of people. And by the way, they're coming from all over the world, including the Middle East. Why not? Come in, come on in. We're stupid, we'll take care of you, we'll pay. You get sick, we'll take care of your hospitalization. What kind of a plan do you want? So I had an idea. I think it's good. Every time Mexico really intelligently sends people over, we charge Mexico $100,000 for every person they send over. Now, they make so much money that that's peanuts. It's not a lot. Could have made it much higher, but I'm nice. I'm in a good mood today. We charge Mexico $100,000 for every person. You'll see that it'll start to stop because that starts to add up. It starts to add up. We have to secure our borders. We have to do something to take back our country. I mean, don't kid yourself, folks. What took place today, even by the dishonest press, what took place today is being seen all over the world. Look at all those cameras out there. This is being seen all over the world. People know. You know, it's a term I haven't heard for years, but I was thinking about it. Thank you. It's a term that I haven't heard for years, but I really think it applies now more than maybe ever before. And that's the term, the silent majority. Have you all heard that? You don't hear it anymore. You don't hear it. When people start cutting up their credit cards at Macy's and won't go to Macy's anymore, when all of these things, and that's a big story, but nobody wants to write it, that's fine, I don't care about me. But when you see the kind of power that the silent majority has, and the silent majority is a problem. They want to go out, they want to lead a good life, they want to work hard, they want to have their family, they don't want to be involved in coming here and waiting on a line for hours and hours and coming in and listening to Trump. But the silent majority is back, and we're going to take the country back. And we are going to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.